Well, I think it's undeniable that the case against Hunter Biden was really politically motivated, but I also think it's true that the trial in New York for Trump that was political as well too. Now, is that?
Let me tell you, when politics and entertainment collide, the drama can reach a whole new level, and that's exactly what's happening right now, with a legal battle shaking up daytime television and political circles. John Fetterman, the outspoken Democratic senator from Pennsylvania, has reportedly taken a bold step by filing a defamation lawsuit, and the person at the center of it is none other than Sunny Hostin, one of the most recognizable voices on The View. Fetterman claims that Hostin, along with the show's producers, crossed a line during one of their episodes. What was supposed to be another day of lively political debate quickly turned into something much more serious. This isn't simply a celebrity feud. It's a case that is sparking bigger conversations about media responsibility, ethical reporting, and where we should draw the line between expressing an opinion and making a statement that could be considered defamation.
America's confidence in these kinds of institutions have been damaged by these kinds of cases, and we cannot allow these kinds of institutions to be against our political opponents. And it's very clear both trials were politically motivated, and is that on the other side.
John Fetterman is not someone who shies away from the spotlight. Over the years, he has built a reputation as a fearless advocate for justice and equality, taking on issues that others might overlook. Whether he is standing up for people who feel ignored or calling attention to what he sees as unfair treatment, his commitment to justice is clear. He is also known for speaking his mind without holding back, and that direct, honest style has earned him respect in many different circles.
They'll say that about the J6 people too, though, right? That's what they're going to say on the other side. That is what.
I'm not referring to that. I'm talking about the New York trial, and now the Democrats on our side there were some that were gleeful, calling it like now he's a convicted felon and those things, and now for our party, we were talking about criminal justice, and we are now talking about second chances. And now all of a sudden, now you're like, well, he's a convicted felon and all these things. And now clearly, again, both of those trials, the Hunter Biden one and the trial in New York for Trump, that was politically motivated. And those kinds of charges would have never been brought unless one side could realize that they that.
When Fetterman appeared on The View, most people expected the usual back and forth over hot-button topics like politics and current events. After all, the show is known for passionate debates, with its panelists often disagreeing in dramatic fashion. Fetterman fit right into that format, bringing his usual direct style to the table. But what caught everyone off guard was how quickly the mood changed during his segment. Sunny Hostin, who is known for having strong opinions, allegedly made comments that Fetterman found deeply offensive. It wasn't simply a heated exchange, it felt much more personal. That moment would soon grow into a legal confrontation that is now making waves. At the center of Fetterman's lawsuit is his argument that Sunny Hostin words damaged his reputation in ways that went far beyond a simple disagreement. He claims her statements were not only harmful, but also defamatory, creating what he says was a false and damaging image of him in front of millions of viewers. Fetterman is not only seeking to hold Sunny accountable, but is also accusing The View's producers of failing to step in and allowing the alleged statements to go unchecked.
We'll also have plans to work with the administration as to how to remedy a lot of the destruction that happened in Gaza as well. I know you've spoken about that. Let me ask you this, though. Since Trump's win, there's been a lot of soul searching on the Democratic side, people needing answers on what went wrong. Do you think that is helpful? And do you think there should also be some soul searching on the Republican side who need to analyze why they would nominate a convicted felon who ran on lies, threats of retribution, and concepts of a plan?
Well, I haven't spent any of my time after the election freaking out or just thinking about. Here's where we are, and I would like to remind everybody that that's the way democracy works. I was warning people that before the election that you have the risk. If Trump wins, then he's going to get the House, he's going to have the Senate, and now you have the Supreme Court with a strong conservative slant now too. So here's we are, and for the next 2 years, Trump And the GOP is going to be able to drive this narrative. That's undeniable. That's a fact as well, too. And the last, kind of like that emergency break right now is the filibuster in the Senate. And then otherwise, they'll be able to just run any kinds of laws through Congress, and now the Supreme Court would likely back them up as well, too.
To put this into perspective, defamation is a serious legal accusation. It goes beyond hurt feelings or simple disagreements. It involves statements that can potentially damage someone's reputation or career in real and measurable ways. Fetterman believes Sonny's remarks cross that line, leaving him with no choice but to take legal action. The lawsuit also raises important questions about media ethics. In today's fast-moving world of 24-hour news and viral sound bites, the media has enormous power to shape public opinion. Fetterman's case shows how that power can sometimes blur the line between free speech and defamation, forcing us to think about the responsibility that comes with having such a large platform. But the bigger issues go beyond Fetterman and Sonny Hostin. This legal fight touches on questions that affect all of us. For starters, it raises concerns about media responsibility. With millions of viewers tuning in every day, The View has a major influence on public opinion. And when a program with such a wide reach gets something wrong, the consequences can be much bigger than a simple on-air disagreement.
So this is definitely going to go in a direction that a lot of Democrats aren't going to agree with that, but I'm going to be a part of that conversation. And there's going to be plenty of people that are going to freak out, or they're going to have these kinds of extreme reactions. But I won't be one of them, but I'm going to react, and I'm going to be very selective on picking my own fights on that. And I just have to, I think two things are true at the same time, whether it's like the border or whether it's with abortion or other these kinds of issues.
At the same time, this case highlights the ongoing tension between free speech and defamation. People should have the right to share their opinions, but what happens when those words seriously damage someone's reputation? Where should we draw the line between expressing a personal view and being held responsible for harmful statements? These are the bigger questions that Fetterman's case is now forcing us to think about.
But I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be that Democrat. For me, there's things I'm going to agree with, I'm going to disagree with, but I'm in the business of finding wins for Pennsylvania and for the nation, and engaging the president. I think I see that as doing my job.
The outcome of this case could even set a precedent for future interactions between public officials and the media. If Fetterman succeeds, it could encourage others to hold media outlets accountable for statements they believe are harmful. On the other hand, it could also make journalists and political commentators more cautious about speaking openly, potentially changing the way modern journalism operates. And then there's the role of Sonny, whose involvement has placed her directly at the center of this growing legal and media controversy.
Now, there are those on the left who feel like you have made a rightward shift recently, going to Mar-a-Lago, joining Truth Social, your positions on issues like immigration, fracking. What do you say to those who are now, in a sense, questioning your commitment to the Democratic Party?
Oh, well, first I want to just say I am so sorry for what happened to that officer. I mean, he's had a heart attack. His life, he almost died. I mean, I've had a stroke. Same thing. Absolute empathy, and just appalled for what I witnessed what happened on January 6th. And I absolutely would reject pardoning people that were involved on that. And so right word, that's just happened not to be true. I've been on record too saying I am not going to become a Republican, although maybe some people might be happy on one side, but I would make a pretty terrible Republican because, pro-choice, pro-really strong immigration, pro-LGBTQ.
Sonny is no stranger to controversy. As one of The View's most outspoken voices, she has built a reputation for jumping into debates and sharing strong opinions, even when others might stay quiet. But this time, the stakes are much higher. The key question is whether her comments about Fetterman were simply opinions or crossed the line into defamation. That distinction could play a major role in court. For Fetterman, this lawsuit is about more than protecting his reputation. He believes major media platforms have a responsibility to use their influence carefully and avoid statements that could cause real harm. The case also raises bigger questions about journalism, free speech, and accountability. If Fetterman succeeds, media outlets could become more cautious about controversial commentary. But critics may argue that too much caution could discourage open debate. The lawsuit has already sparked public discussion over whether Fetterman is justified or taking things too far. Some see it as a necessary demand for accountability, while others worry it could threaten free expression. Either way, the case highlights the difficult line between strong opinions and harmful statements, and its outcome could influence how public figures and media personalities interact in the future.
For me, it's like I would like to remind everybody that are watching this that Trump won, and now he's going to have control of the House and my chamber and the Senate. And now he'll also is going to have a Supreme Court that is a strong conservative slant too. Now he gets to pick all these nominees. And I'm not going to get worked up about a nominee when the Republicans haven't even decided that that's who I really want to have at this point. Now there's some people now until they're all doing it's all about the math. The second they have 50 votes, that person's going to the floor, and then they're going to be the next person. That's guaranteed because Vance will be there to break the tie on through that. So until they can even work it out on their side, I'm not going to get worked crazy or freak out about every nominee. And I'd like to remind that they get to pick the people, and we're going to be in the majority, and that's how this works.
The bigger question is how careful media figures should be when millions of people are watching. Every word can carry weight, especially when discussing public figures like Fetterman. But if the media becomes too restricted, could it lose its ability to challenge those in power and spark important conversations? That's what makes this case so interesting. It goes beyond the people involved and raises bigger questions about media influence, ethics, responsibility, and free speech. From a legal perspective, the case also examines where opinion ends and defamation begins. The court would have to consider whether Sonny's comments were simply personal views or crossed a legal boundary. Meanwhile, media platforms like The View face growing pressure to balance entertaining debates with responsible commentary. As public concern over misinformation grows, so does the demand for accountability. Whatever happens next, this case could have a lasting impact on journalism and remind everyone how complicated things can become when politics and media collide.